Hello, hello, hello.
We back. Thursday night, turn up.
It's
Pre-turn up.
definitely, but it's
Pre-week to
definitely
turn
the
up.
pre-turn up. Yes. I love the
Yes.
pre-week because turn up Thursday is one of my favorite days because it just leads me into Friday. But I don't know about you, Thursdays seem to be busy for me though. I think I try to cram in a lot of things on Thursday before Friday comes because Friday I'd like to think I like to relax, even though that doesn't ever
You,
actually
you,
happen. But I
you just a
digress.
busy lady right now. You got a lot of things going on, so I understand.
I know. So everybody, again, my new book, Love Rules, will be published this Tuesday, coming April 1st. It will be available for purchase. I am so excited. I shared the book cover recently with the YouTube family and my Instagram family. So
Yes.
please look out for Love Rules Book 1 dropping April 1st. I am extremely busy because I'm trying to get things together and market it and do all of that stuff, plus these shows and a full time job and a child. So, please support your girl as she continues this author journey of hers that I love so much.
hmm
Thank
Now
you.
you should say a adult child, not a regular child. You have an adult child.
Yes, I have an adult child, and they still need raising when they're adults because I miss my daddy. Rest in peace. I probably daddy that man, anyways. Rest in peace, daddy. But yes, I do have an adult child. Dear future husband, I don't have a young child. I have an adult child.
Right.
Thank you for the distinction. But again, support Love Rules. When it drops, it will be available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, generally Walmart generally also buys it, and all other retailers. So I will let you know available on Amazon this Tuesday, April the 1st by noon, and I'm so excited. As an author, you literally get to see my innermost thoughts. It's like raising a child again because you're birthing something. Like when people don't even understand how nervous I get, I've been like super nervous. I'm like, are they gonna like it? Maybe they're gonna hate it. It's like birthing a child, but please do support my new book series. Love Rules Book 1 comes out April 1st. There will be 6 parts. I will publish one every month for 6 months, and then the full book on the seventh month. So please support. And then I'm working on another book that I hope to put out by summer of next year.
Look at you. Look
Thank
at you.
you.
Every
I'm
month.
so
So
excited.
April 1st and May 1st and June 1st, like
Yeah,
just like that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I still, I actually still am writing the series. I finished book 1, 2, and 3. I started book 4, and so I still have to write 4, 5, and 6. 7 is clearly easy because I just combine everything and it's the whole book. But the story is still developing, and I think I love to see people's reviews of the book because I think that can also kind of, massage maybe how the story ends. So I love that because then people will get to kind of be involved. So if you do purchase the book, I will have like my email address in there that you can email me. You can put a review. Please put a review on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and that will help to encourage how the book finishes. So that's
Okay.
that. Anyways, enough about me. How's your week been?
I mean, based on what you got going on, I mean, my week's okay. I mean, I'm supposed to follow that. April 1st, got a new book dropping, Nah, I'm just working life, dad life, That's it. All's good. The weather's good, 70s, sunny.
The best for you.
Yeah, but hey, life is good, y'all.
I love that. I love that. I see people coming up. I see you, Mr. Shelby. Welcome. It's been a while. Definitely been a while. So I'm glad you're able to join us as well. King's Cash Court, welcome back to the family. We're gonna be talking about so much tonight. But before a little bit more, I went to see Mary J. Blige in concert this Monday, and it was absolutely amazing. And shout out to my courting partner. Um, Thank you if when he watches this, if you're watching this and you're just not showing up in the comments, thank you. Like I said, he had surprised me with floor seats to go see Mary J. Blige, and it was an amazing show. here in Toronto, and my life got made. I've seen a lot of concerts. I've seen Neo, I've seen Beyonce, I've seen Jay-Z, I've seen Ultimate Cost, Jodeci, not Jodeci, Casey and Joe don't technically, it wasn't a full Jodeci. Like I've seen all kinds of R&B concerts beyond the years, but Mary, I know a lot of people were trying to like come for Mary, but Mary did Mary, and it was amazing. And I mean, everything is better on the floor. I can't lie, because I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much if I was up there. I would have appreciated, honey. But thank you. So big shout out to my courting partner, significant other, whatever title we want to put on this. But I digress. But if Mary is coming to your city on the rest of her tour, please go see the Mary J. Blige tour featuring Mario and Nia.
Look at that free plug. Look at that. You giving free plugs. Look at that.
No, she was just like, it was like life was made. We missed Mario. We didn't realize it was gonna start like right on time. It was right on time. But we did get to see most of Neil's set, including all of Mary. She had a full DJ set, like it's two DJ sets actually. She had an intermission. They changed the set. Like Mary was killing it. So, go Mary. Anywho, as the gentlemen have come in, I really want to have this conversation. I don't think this conversation has been had in a way that I hope to have it tonight. I know that, one of the things I always like to do on this show is getting to the minds of marriage minded or married men, right? Like, we generally are not having conversations with men over here who aren't marriage minded or looking for a relationship or some sort. And so, marriage is the key for our show. Again, we are trying to change the conversation around Black relationships. And I think often you hear sound bites on shows about certain aspects of relationships. And these two parts is something that I hear continually from men about, needing a woman to be their peace and being their safe space. And tonight, I want to just focus on those two aspects of what men are looking for in a relationship, because what does that really mean? And I really want to hear from the men. I have the link to come onto the show. As you know, it is pinned at the top. Please feel free to come onto the show. You do not have to show your face. You can just come on and have a conversation. As many of you see, Mr. has done that several times, Jeff and some others. So please come on, click the link, because I truly do want to have a conversation. Also, I would like to have a men's panel in the next couple of months, with 3 or 4 of our viewers, our subscribers, our amazing crew here, to really delve into some of the difficulties that we're having in relationships and how we fix them. But tonight, again, the title is Be His Peace, Be His Safe Space. But what does that really mean? And ladies, for those of you who are watching live, for those of you who will watch the replay, for those of you who will watch the clips that I put out, I really want you to listen, because I'm blessed to have some really good men who participate. Clearly, my co-host twins, and really want to again get this whole Black relationship movement going. So let's talk about it, gentlemen in the chat. Feel free to put your comments, or again, click the link, come backstage. I will let you on the show. So I will start with and again, twins, I know you and I have talked about this a little more, but I really want to focus on these two things. So when you think about the idea of a woman being your peace, what kind of things does this conjure up? Because I think a lot of the time, as women, we hear things and we create in our mind what that definition is. So for a lot of women, they filter Be His Peace to you want a docile, submissive, shuts her mouth, doesn't have an opinion, that type of woman, right? They have filtered it to some 1960s in the kitchen woman cooking and cleaning and hushing her mouth. But as we sit here in 2025, and men I feel like have been saying this forever, In 2025, what does it look like for you when you say be my peace, or as you talk with your male counterparts about this?
Great question. So I'm glad you gave that introduction about that part because a lot of people do think that it's like me, shut up, don't say nothing, you know, whatever he says goes, whatever it may be. No, no, that's not the case. So when we say we're looking for somebody to be our peace, it, I want you to understand that we want you to put your trust into us, right? And if I'm your man or boyfriend or husband, pause to the ladies, you know what I'm saying? But if I'm not to you, right, you should trust that whatever I present for us, it's in our best interest. So if I say something like, uh, you know, I don't have the exact detail. I just don't want to be a fight. I don't want you to question everything I say or do. You you can have an opinion, but at the back of my
Mhm.
head, it's like, don't you think I have the best interest for us? You would think I'll have us do something that is going to hurt us long run or short term, whatever case may be, right? Um, let's say I might say something as basic as like, hey, let's make sure we put at least $300 away per check, right? Why should you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not rocket science why I should do that. I said, you know what I'm saying? I should have to break it down. Well, babe, if in the future, if you ever get a flat tire and we got money in the account, you don't have to stress about, oh, I can wait till the next pay. You just go to the savings account, pull it over and get a tire fixed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, babe, I want to get these shoes or something. It's just the
Yeah.
small things. Instead, instead of not doing that and later on you say you want something and the finances could be not where we want them at yet. And I'm like, I don't want to do that yet. Now you're upset or it may be, but it's like if you listen to what I said about 6 months ago when I said it's put $300 away, per check or whatever the number. I'm just throwing an example out there.
Yeah.
When you do want something, it's there and there's no problem. And then later on, now we're tight on funds, we're tight, whatever it may be. You frustrated now. But it's like, but if you just listen to me, and that's what comes to the peace. And when I say that, now this is a small basic scenario. I'll give you another example, ladies. And this is a big thing when it comes to men, right? Whatever scenario may be, we have your best interest. Um,
Hmm.
it could be, hey, I think you shouldn't keep talking to that girl. You know what I'm saying? She's not your friend. Oh, she's my friend. She's been my day one. We see things that you may not be able to see. And it's vice versa. You may see something that we don't see, right? And you don't listen to me, right? I don't know what I'm talking about. But then your other girlfriend you talk to tell you the same thing, and she come, girl, hey, babe, let me tell you, so and so told me I shouldn't so talking to that girl because she X Y Z. I'm looking like I said that shit a couple weeks ago. What the fuck you mean? So it's like you don't trust what I have for you or our best interest, and that's kind of like a slap in the face because it's like
Hmm.
if we're together and I'm recommending something for us but you don't trust unless someone else say it, I find that as a problem. So just a little
I
something
love
there,
that.
kind of like a piece. Like, trust me, I have your best interest. That's all I'm trying to say. That's the piece. Not that I present something out to you and I got to give you 50 reasons why I said this. But if someone else can tell you something else right away, you're like, okay, I know what, I don't know why I didn't think about that. So just give an example there.
I love that. I'm going to ask a follow-up question, but Mr. has a comment here that I think is amazing. So Mr. said, don't undermine our decisions, which is essentially what you also just said, Swin. If you're going to trust our outcomes, then trust our outcomes.
That's exactly what I was saying. He knew what I'm talking about. Appreciate you, brother.
So Shelby says, but do the women actually trust what it is that we are speaking, suggesting, or directing? I'm going to take that one. Um, I think if she's questioning you, no, she doesn't. It's a very simple answer. Um, I think there's a difference between inquiring so that you can have a better context about what your man is suggesting, and to Twins and Mr. point, undermining. what he's suggesting or speaking about or trying to direct you. I think there are a lot of women who are sleeping with men and are with men that they don't actually trust. They're with that men for a variety of reasons, but they don't actually trust that men with their well-being. Because I think from a woman, what you are asking of a woman is to put her complete trust and faith that you're going to lead me in the right direction. And that takes a level of vulnerability that a lot of women do not have because they haven't been able in their mind, whether that's true or not, is to be able to trust a man with that level of vulnerability. And so I think, twins and I have discussed this on several shows, but I think it is important when getting to know a woman to find out about the men in her life. And I'm not talking about the ones who, were pumping on top of her and didn't care about her after they came. I'm talking about the foundation men, a father, an uncle, a grandfather, finding out what that is like. There is a show I did several years ago, and this is something that I institute in my current situations where, I talked about somebody's relationship with love, not the people we love, um, but the concept of love. And there are a lot of women who have a very complicated relationship with love because they have a complicated relationship with the first man that they were supposed to love and was supposed to love them. So I think, when we are saying, well, she doesn't trust me, she's not following me, she's not that, maybe it has nothing to do with you. Maybe it's because you've ended up a woman whose foundation of love is not secure enough for you to build what you want to build with her. So that's the best answer I have for that. Twins, do you want to comment on that before I move on to King's Crash Court's question?
That when you say that, right, the last thing you just said, if you say that, it's like, so why are we in a relationship then? Why are we on this level of intimacy, future planning, whatever it may be, if you can't trust me guiding you?
I'm going to actually answer that because for a lot of women, a man provides a level of financial security that they need to live a life that they want to. They, Here's the thing: if your foundation of love is not good, you're constantly building on a bad foundation. I always talk about you can't build a house on quicksand. You start putting out the foundation, what's going to happen? The house eventually is going to sink into the quicksand. A lot of us are trying to build relationships on quicksand because we don't understand the foundation that the person already exists on. Just because I speak well and just because I look good and just because I seem emotionally mature and intelligent doesn't mean that I still don't have a foundation of love that isn't conducive to us building what we need to build. And I think, when we talk about being relationship minded and marriage minded, we've also talked about asking the correct questions. And sometimes we're skipping over those questions because our pheromones get so woo because we meet that person. But if you find out that I had a effed up relationship with my father, I never really understood love from my mother. There was nobody really there, and I've just been fighting for survival. Is that conducive to me being able to be loving to you, to be vulnerable to you, if the people with whom I was supposed to do that in the beginning and teach me that don't have that? So I think sometimes we're missing the steps and then we're questioning, well, why? Well, it's because you missed the step.
That's a big step.
It's a
And
huge step.
yeah, and also, we should never base our foundation off love, neither, right?
That,
should never.
that part.
It should never be that.
That part.
you know? So
That part.
that makes sense. So I mean, we're putting back some layers here tonight. A lot of stuff that I'm reflecting on myself as well. Like these the things I'm saying now, things I didn't do early in my stage because one, I didn't know, and you learn you learn through experience. Now that I know these things, I'm sharing these things now. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm saying these things. You know what I'm saying? If I knew what I knew now, I might not be here right now, right?
That.
So
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be divorced.
exactly.
Right?
I mean, ain't no one marries to divorce. That's never the goal. I can tell you, every person,
Exactly.
I can tell you, I can guarantee everyone who's been married, they never plan to be divorced. No one marries to be divorced because if that was the plan, you would never got married in the first place.
Thank you. Facts on facts. Or facts on facts. King Cash Court's got a great question, and I will take this, but I would love to hear from the men in the chat and from Flint as well. So King Cash Court says, "What do women define as a man being a leader slash provider?" So I'm going to answer that. I think it's very obvious financial security. I think we get that part. I think we can all understand that if a man provides financial security, that is a very good basis. However, let's move that because I think we all understand that. I think when I think about a leader and provider, I think about a man with, and this is something I've said before, a man with real emotional regulation, a man who makes me, and we're going to get to this in the second half of the show, but a man who is my safe space, a man who I am not afraid to be vulnerable with. Because I think, I hear a lot of conversation about men not wanting to be vulnerable with women. But I think a lot of us as women, we also fear vulnerability. Because again, if you have been in a space where you haven't been able to be vulnerable, if you haven't had those foundations of a great love, you fear that vulnerability because vulnerability means weakness. This is what has been taught to a lot of Black women in particular. For white women, I talk about in my other book, No Handouts for Black Girls. For white women, vulnerability is protection. A white woman can cry at a dime, like not an issue. And it's like the world stops and everybody goes, "Oh my God, she's crying." Black women never felt that they had that thing to be crying because it was like, wipe your tears, get over it, and move on. Things have got to get done. So when you meet a man who makes you naturally take that position, oh, that is a man who is a leader. That is a man who you feel is a provider. I mean, provision, we know that a lot of the time provision is financial, but you can be a really good financial provider and be a terrible leader. Like that doesn't go hand in hand. Being a great financial provider does not mean that you're a great leader. And it also comes down to, ladies, I'm going to speak to the ladies, it also comes down to finding out his foundation of love, his foundation of what it means like to be a man, who helped him to build the bricks to understand what it's like to be a leader and a provider and have emotional regulation and all of those things. And the reason I say emotional regulation, because I there is something to be said about a man who can go through the storm and still be able to come out of it with logic and don't naturally go to, because fighting is an emotion, yelling is an emotion, anger is an emotion. Like all of those things are emotion. And I've experienced that with someone where that was their go-to. It was anger, it was all of this yelling, and that's not an emotional regulation that makes a woman feel safe and want to follow you. Because when we're in peril, are those your natural reactions to go to anger and all of those things instead of someone who's going to use logic? Because that's how we look at men. I look at women as being more emotional. So if my man is all of a sudden this emotional man, this is a bit of a problem for me because who's going to regulate me? Right? Like now I've got to worry about you going to anger and yelling and I'm not saying men, I'm not talking about vulnerability and being open with a woman. That's not what I'm talking about. But if your natural instinctive reaction when something is not right is to go to the extreme emotions, I can't feel safe with you and I can't follow you. But twins, I'd love you to take that. And I do see that someone is backstage. Shelby, I see you backstage. I will let you jump on in 2 seconds. I'll let twins take that one. Do you have any thoughts on what King's Cash Court has asked from a man's perspective?
What do women define on a? I mean, you. I mean, this is really more of a woman question than if anything.
Okay, so that's okay. I took it.
You see what I'm saying?
Mr. Scott. Oh, Jack Space here too. I love. There's some comments. Mr. is getting an applause for his comments, so I'm happy to read it now. Mr. said something that needs repeating. Trust issues are not about one person not being able to trust another person. It's more about they don't trust themselves to identify correctly a trustworthy person. I'm gonna read that, people, and absorb that. Yeah, let's just. I know he's got a part two, but let's let that one sit there because that is true. That is so true. He continues to say, and if we can't trust one another, there's no relationship to be had. That's one of the foundations of any successful relationship long term. 100,000%. Trust is it. I don't want to have any angst around my relationship. I don't care for that. Shelby gave Mr. round of applause. Jack Spade is saying, being a man's dependable and consistent piece of art and get out of the way as his simp cup runneth over. What woman doesn't want her man to be her simp machine? I'm gonna come back to that. Because I actually have an answer for that. Mr. said just a little bit of insight. It's not uncommon that some men resort to anger to express themselves because that's the only emotion we're really allowed to express without being shamed for it. I'm also going to come back to this one because of the fact that it's going to go into the second part of my question about how to be his safe space. Jack Space says, white women question mark. That one sentence doesn't represent the other segment. Let's stop treating white people as these magical, all-doing beings. Let's remember who created the MGTOW movement. I'm not sure what that movement is, so can you let me know, Jack Space? And let me just be clear. This is not about it being a magical creature. It is an actual answer. There are a lot of Black women, and again, go get my book, No Handouts for Black Girls, where I feel like a lot of women felt that being the strong, independent Black woman was the only option for them because white women had cornered the market on vulnerability. That is true. You take it back 40, 50 years and you have conversations with women who took on that trope and they will tell you, we didn't have time to be vulnerable. We didn't. That is a white women thing. White women got to do that, and the seas opened up. And it's not right. I'm not saying it's correct. Again, go get my book because I dismantled that idea. I dismantled the idea of the strong Black woman, which is a fallacy. But a lot of women have held on to that. And if you think about generations of trauma, of no man in the house, and all of these things that they're seeing, they keep building upon that. And this is why their foundation of love is faulty. They have a faulty foundation of love. Okay, Shelby, I see you back here. Let me bring you to the stage. Welcome and good night, Shelby. Okay, Shelby, I see you back. Can you hear us?
I think
you're. Are you listening to us on two devices, Shelby?
Good evening.
Yeah, he's got mute.
Good evening.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you mute your other device because I can hear myself
Okay, I
after I speak?
apologize. Let me get
Don't
out of the
worry.
room.
I love that you're watching us on TV. I
I
love
can
that for
definitely
us.
hear you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. How are you?
I thank you. I thank you. Um, okay, let me make sure there's not a delay. If there is a
No,
delay,
you're
I
good.
apologize.
No, you're
We're
good.
good.
Maybe him delay hearing us. You good.
You're
Okay,
good on
so
our end. You're good on
basically,
our end.
what I
Go
want to
ahead.
say is one, I've been keeping up with you two. I've been keeping up with you two for a while, and I've been busy, so I haven't been able to chime in as I want to chime in. But one, going back to, do women trust? And I am at a place now where, in my dating age, in my courting age, being someone that is over 45, it is necessary that, we really ask the question, and you are answering it right now. You and twins are answering the question right now. Can we be trusted as black men? And not in the sense where, anecdotally, we are one off, and you're having your experience, twins is having his experience, I'm having my experience, but we're trying to answer this, I think, for our brothers and sisters
Yep.
in mass. Yet what I'm seeing in my experiences is that black women do not trust. And so, if they do not trust, how do we, as men, black men in particular, how do we actually weed through the ones who are not for us, who are
Mm.
really truly like, I only want you for your money, I only want you for your status, I only want you for what you can do for us, opposed to the ones that are really for us? Like, I really want to build with you. I really want to be there with you. So I know you're going to go through, your topic, your talking points, what you have already listed out. But if you can speak to that, like, I know you're not representative for all black women, but you are a great model. You are beautiful. You are toned. You are fit. You are intelligent. You are everything that every black man would want to walk into the place with. So, how can you, if you desire to do this, speak for every other black woman who could answer the concerns of the black men that actually are out here wanting to have women like you? That's my question for tonight, and I'll be quiet from the rest of the night.
That that is a really good question. Let me first of all say thank you. I am blushing and so honored that you feel that way about me. I'm very appreciative. I'm going to start with something I actually said a couple of minutes ago, and let's start with the foundation. Let's go straight to the foundation. And this was a question that when I asked it, and I think Twins, you probably watched that show. This was a couple of years ago with my ex when I sat down and asked the question, what was his relationship with love, and then I had to dig into my relationship with love. We had never asked ourselves that question, nor had anybody we had ever dated or been in a relationship with, and we had both been married, right? Had ever really sat to ask that question. And when I started this show, and I really started listening not only to the people who would leave comments or be on the show. I started listening to other people who had shows and the conversations that they were having. I was like, there is something faulty in their foundation and concept of love. And it starts with, let's start from the beginning. So, Mr. made a good point. Trust is not about the other person. Trust starts with me. I need to trust myself that my decision making abilities are so great that I'm not going to end up in a situation with a man who's going to break my heart, abuse me, do all of those things. But where do I get that from? The beginning of my journey, which is with my daddy. It really is. It starts with my foundation. Who did I latch on to? Who did I see as a man for whom I can trust, who was going to keep me safe, who was a great leader, who was going to provide for me? Look at how he treated my mother, my siblings. I had a stepmother. I looked at all of those things. And I always say this, my daddy was a flawed man, but he was a great father. But when I think about the vision of what, going back to King's Cash Court's question, what a leader and provider looks like, I go back to my father. When I think about a man with emotional regulation, I go back to my father. I see those qualities in my father that made him a great man and made him somebody that I could truly love. And I look at those qualities and I trust that if I see those qualities in a man, that is a man that I can generally trust because he's a leader and provider, because he's like my daddy. You take that away, what does a woman have as her foundation of love? And so, what I would say for all of you marriage minded men, ask a woman that question. First of all, you're going to see their face because no one's probably ever asked them that question. And two, it might take them a moment because it's a question they've never ever thought about. We think about being in love. We think about attaching love to a person, right? I love my daughter. I love my daddy. I love my best friend. I love my husband. We think about the attachment of love to something, but the actual concept of love, what love truly means, what love is, what love brings out of you, because love can bring out good and bad qualities in us. I think we've seen it. We idealize love like this magical, beautiful thing, but for some of us, it's not. For some people, love is scary because love brings out parts of them they can't control. Physiologically, you don't control love. You don't necessarily control falling in love. Falling in love happens. We don't go, you know what? I've been dating for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. Now it's time to fall in love. It doesn't happen that way. Physiologically, your body starts feeling things when you're around a particular person that you start going, is this love? And then it pops up, it is love. So understanding, I think, shall be that basic foundation of somebody's relationship with love. And I encourage all men to ask that. And then I'm going to couple that with a question that Twins said, I think it was last week or the week before, and we've talked about this several times on the show. They also need to talk about their relationship with men. What is your relationship with men? Name, the men in your life growing up that you admire, that when you think about, you consider them a leader, a provider. What makes them that to you? And I think once we start delving in that and weeding out all the bullshit and the bullshit talk about what's your favorite color and what's your plan 3 to 5 years from now, like those are all great. And I think those come after that foundation conversation. So I just went on a bit of a a roller coaster, but I hope that does help because I had to figure out what my relationship with love is, and I wrote a letter that I still have. I actually have the clip, on the show. If you actually look, I think relationship with love, fuck your feelings, like it will come up where I wrote that letter, and I still have that letter today. I can actually even read it if you guys wanted me to read it. But I really had to sit down and really define what my relationship with love is, because only then would I then know, do I love myself enough to trust myself to make good decisions? And when this man who brings out the best sides of me comes, will I recognize it the way I'm supposed to, and therefore trust his leadership? So, twins, do you want to add anything? I just see Mr. has a comment here, and Shelby, I see your clapping hand emoji, so I'm assuming that you appreciate the answer, twins.
Yeah, what you said was a very good, detailed answer and explanation behind it as well. And it's definitely a lot of definitely something that I never really thought about as well. You know, as a woman, what what man in your history that you respected, right? Not just admire, respected. And how did he earn your respect,
Yep.
right? And the fact you went back to your dad, which is perfect because your dad's the only one who's gonna be real with you about
Mm-hmm.
everything. He loves you. He wants you as a father, and me being a father and having a daughter as well. We have the most respect. We have the truth, everything we have for our daughter, because we want our daughters to make the best decisions in life. We don't want our daughters to get hurt, and we know as
Mm-hmm.
men, you know how easy it is to hurt a woman, right? Because we're guys. You know what I'm saying? We've been there, we've done that, right? So even though we can tell our daughters everything in the world to protect yourself, they still got to learn through experience. But we can still give them the foundation of being in a relationship.
Yep.
Could lead to marriage, but they have to understand what it looks like, as far as respecting a man, trusting a man, because, my daughter, I should be the first man that she respects. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I love that for you, right? And I get it. There's a lot of women out there who didn't have their father, right? But that's a good question, because then you got to ask them. So what? You have your father. Was there a stepdad?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or was it uncles, brothers? There has to be some men in your life that you respected. And if there isn't, that might be an opportunity for, that might be a red flag. That might be something that you might want to pump your brakes for a minute. And okay, so she don't know what it's like to respect a man. And if you have this conversation without being an argument, it's kind of let you know, okay, so when she gets mad, she may say whatever's on her mind now because she don't know how to respect the man.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? But if she
Mm-hmm.
did respect, did she know how to bite her tongue or hold her tongue, or respectfully, you can have an argument and go back and forth with each other, but at the same time, you don't gotta be disrespectful. So that's very key in something I didn't think about till now, but that's something I'm gonna add to the repertoire. And fellas, I would recommend do the same thing. Ask your woman you're talking to, you're dating, whatever conversation, any woman, any conversation, and ask them, who is the man that you respected? Because when that man speaks to them about whatever may be, they're gonna listen, they're gonna respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Me,
Mm-hmm.
because like now we pin back the layers of why there's someone out there that don't trust what man has best for them because they've been hurt so much, X, Y, Z. And that might be something you might want to get before you get into a serious relationship or marriage.
Yep.
That might be something you might want to tackle first, because that is very key when it comes to in marriages and stuff. You would hate to be married to someone who do not know how to respect a man. That is dangerous. That is so dangerous for both
Very.
parties and really for the man, because now at this point, now you commit to a woman, you married her, not knowing that she don't know how to respect men. Message. But I'm done. Go ahead.
I love that. And it would also add, before I read Mr. comment, I would also add, it is also key to hear how she speaks about men with her girlfriends and her mother or any of the women in her life. Listen to how she speaks about men and listen to how they speak about men. That's important because the people we surround ourselves with are huge influences, whether we like it or not, right? The people, the women who she decides to be around, the women who will be guiding her and supporting her while in this relationship with you, that is so important. Um, and I think understanding those women, and I'm not saying to eavesdrop, but you can hear when conversations are happening, right? Even looking at Alex, you guys are watching a relationship show, and you guys have a conversation about it. How does she feel about that? And what's going on fictionally in the show? Like there are signs that are there, and I think sometimes we don't want to see those signs because we're enamored with the person. Again, because physiologically they're making us feel all kinds of way, but we're not getting to the foundation. So I see some other comments. I'm going to read those comments, and I'm going to get to actually my second question of the night. Twins, do you have time to stay on a little longer
No,
than 10
we can
o'clock?
do it. No,
Okay, good, good, good.
good.
Mr. He said, for me, love is a commitment. Further, it's a commitment to doing right by the person you love, regardless of the times they made you feel negatively towards them, because you still want good for them. That is a level of maturity that I think is missing out of relationships because people want to do tit for tat, tit for tat. You hurt me, I'm going to hurt you. You cheat on me, I'm going to cheat on you. You do this, I'm going to do this. And that takes a lot because forgiveness is about you, it's not about the other person. And for me, as long as you've decided that you're committed to sustaining this relationship, you continue to act in the manner that every day you want to continue to commit to this person. The moment both of you are out, be out, but you can be respectful about that. So I absolutely love that comment. Anything about this before I move on, Twin, to the next comment?
No, we're good.
King's Cash Court said, the hardest conversations are the ones that make or sustain foundation. And they shouldn't be. Those should be the easiest conversations that we have. But because there are so much people who just have all of this trauma and they're carrying around backpacks of weight of every failed relationship on their back and climbing up a hill while they're doing it, that's what's making it hard. You got to release it. Again, get my book, No Handouts for Black Girl Clique. Also talk about that, right? Like you cannot go through life. So you start with an empty backpack and every heartbreak, everything that made you mad, every failed relationship, all of those things are weights being added to the backpack. And you keep going uphill, going up, and the backpack is getting heavier and heavier. At some point, to keep going, you have to let it go. But so much of us want to hold on to it. So I don't think those are hard conversations to have because I threw off my backpack years ago. I barely had a backpack. I understood that every time I went into something new, it was something new. It was not from the ex-husband. It was not from an ex-fiance. It wasn't from my daughter's father. There was a new person standing in front of me that I had to start with a new backpack. I got rid of the old backpack because that belonged to somebody else. That backpack was a relationship with the person before that. So I had to throw that backpack on and get a new backpack. And guess what? If that backpack then also started to be heavy, I had to let go of that one, which means I had to let go of the person.
Hold
And
on. Before.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
he said these are the hardest questions. They could be, but I would say this. If you're in a stage in your life now where you trying to be emotional, right, with somebody, this should be an easy question to ask now because you really want to know the person that you possibly might be getting serious with. how to respond to these questions. Now, it may be hard for the person who can't answer the question, but from a woman who can answer that question for you, it's gonna be a breeze for her. She's gonna be able to talk about it with no problem, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, she the one, she the one. Because when you start dating as men, we talk to a lot of women, and you could, based on a question like that, you could weed through a lot of women with a response. So that's something to think about. You okay over there? You done choking?
I'm good. I was like, they don't see all of that. But I love that answer because it's so true. How we decide to react to a question tells us a lot. And too many times I see as women when we're giving advice to other women, before we even give the advice, we go, ladies, listen before you get triggered and respond. That's crazy to me. That even as women, we have to preface it. Please listen before you respond and get all in your feelings and get triggered. So if as women we're doing that, I can only imagine when a man is asking the question how we're reacting. So fellas, please listen to that one. See how she reacts to questions that might be sensitive. Women, the same thing. See how he reacts to questions that might be sensitive in nature. And that also tells you how open they can be, how vulnerable they can be, and how much they trust you. Because those are the conversations, yes, that they might be difficult to have. But when you trust somebody, when you're building that foundation, those conversations are very easy to have. So, Shelby's got a question for you, twins. She
Yep.
said, twins, is asking a woman about her relationship with her father a good idea for the man who would be attempting to get with a woman, question mark, opposed to being a marriage minded man?
I think that's absolutely a great question to ask. You do not want to be committed to somebody in a marriage with somebody, and you don't know how they handle, or not handle, but how they respect a man. You do not. At that point, it's too late for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's too late for you. That's a question I would have asked my ex before I even got married to her, because that would dictate me moving forward with giving her the ring or not. Because I tell everybody, once they get that ring on their finger, it doesn't change anything. It just makes it worse, because it's once you put that ring on their finger, now they can do what they want. There's no accountability. So, like, fellas, these are questions you need to ask before you commit to that particular woman, because just because y'all married, she can still do whatever hell she want, and there's no accountability. So, what I'm saying, that you need to ask that question before, how's the relationship with her father, and if she don't have a father, stepdad. If there's no stepdad, so what man that you can call right now to give you that dad
Mm-hmm.
advice? Not the dude,
Mm-hmm.
not the guy with benefits, or not the guy who's your friend who's just waiting for the opportunity for the door to crack open. No. A man in your life who don't see you as a sex object, sees you as his own personal daughter, and is going to give you the best recommendation, advice at all to you. And she has no one like that. You might. I'm not saying she's not. I'm not saying she's bad damage. I'm not saying she's not good. I'm saying that you might want to slow down a little bit before you fully jump into the relationship. Because I'm telling you, it does not change once you marry that woman. Once you marry, the way she thinks, the way she is going to intensify. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Trust me. I'm telling you from experience. There's no accountability when you're in marriage. And and when you have problem in a relationship, right? Let's say you woman's not listening, right? And like, well, she won't do this. Well, I mean, you're the man, you gotta do that. And I say to him, okay, what does that look like? I can't smack her around. Not that I'm saying that I would, but what I'm saying is that what does it look like for me to hold my woman, my wife, accountable in a relationship? What
Mm-hmm.
does that look like? Oh, just prayer on it, man. I tell people, right? Faith without works is dead.
It's dead.
Sit here and pray all day long. You can speak in tongue and everything, but if there's no work behind it, you're just talking. Okay, you know. Former Dwayne was a deacon in training at one point. So when people try to talk to me on that level of religion stuff, I'm like, who are you talking to? I know it is. And when I said to them, they get quiet, like, oh, yes, I know the word. So don't try to use the word against me. I'm asking you, not asking to be smart. I'm asking because I need the guidance. What does it look like to hold my woman accountable in the relationship? And then they say, well, maybe you chose it. See, at that point, it's too late. So therefore, you don't have a response. You don't have a good answer, which is cool. I'm not saying everybody need to have an answer, but that's what I'm telling. That's why I'm adamant about this conversation right now we're having. If you're being intentional and want to be with somebody, you need to figure out how she respects men in her past. Because if she don't now respect no man, she's not going to respect you when she gets mad. That's a proven fact. And I'll land my plane.
And I'm just going to point out something that you said that was so important when you said, okay, well, what man can you call right now that's going to give you advice at this very moment to help guide you to wherever, what we may need to go? I think that's so foundationally important. Is there someone that she can go to? Because even though my father isn't with me anymore, rest in peace, I have 40 amazing years with him, but there's still men that I can pick up the phone, that I have platonic relationships with, and call to help guide me or give me advice if I'm at a crossroads in a relationship. And I think that piece is so important. Mr. says, message, listen to how she speaks about men. I'm telling you guys, like it is so important. King Sketch, oh, this is so nice. King Sketchboard says, you're an anomaly, Toshiba. Therapy and psychotherapy is all based on the hardest conversations. I actually don't think I am an anomaly. And that's the part I appreciate you men who have said that to me tonight. I actually don't think I'm an anomaly. I think that there is a lot of women who have that foundation. It's just whether you guys are dating those women. But I think there's a lot of women who, remember that episode when I said that you guys, what did I say? A baddie. Oh my God, I had bars that night too. I was like, you guys want a something baddie. Anyways, I'll have to remember the comment I said, but go ahead, Twins.
No, all I'm going to say to that last statement here is that most of the women like you are already wifed up.
I know, it's support.
So it may seem that you're an anomaly, but it's just like the ones that are like you, they're already wifed up because they know how to be a wife. You understand what I'm saying?
I respect that. That makes. I think about my friends who, their wives are in very serious, committed relationships. So yes, they are not on these streets. You are correct. Their future husband. I'm just saying.
Right, and they're not at these places where you're trying to get the other ones that are. You know what I'm saying? Like those particular women are in certain places. You're not gonna find the women like we're talking about you and then other like you in certain places. So yeah.
Right. Mr. And yes, Mr. I was done choking. Mr. says, foundational elements of a successful relationship are non-negotiable. You cannot afford to disagree on one of them and move forward with that person. Drop mic on that. You have to figure out. I know that it's sometimes faux pas when people talk about non-negotiables and standards and all of those things. Non-negotiables and standards are not the same as preferences, right? Like we all know what one of my preferences are, but if I meet a man who is my preference, but also is everything on my non-negotiable list, I'm not going to move forward with him. That does not make sense. And so we have to figure out when we're thinking about foundation of when I think about forever with someone, what are the traits and characteristics that I need this person to have to move forward? What is their story? And I think maybe that's even another way to put a question is tell me your story. Tell me about your life. Tell me and really hear what people reveal, because I think that that says a lot. Oh, we've got a new follower. Hello, Ed. Thank you for joining us tonight. Ed says, "Facts. Once they get a ring, a man loses all leverage. She has to respect you before you commit to her."
What up, Seth the Dark Child?
Oh, so you that's your boy. Hello. Thanks for joining. And then Shelby says, "We out here dropping jewels and gems on them who are actually serious about marriage and serious long-term partnership." Well, that's what this show is about, right? Like, I created this show, again, for people who just are out there slinging peen, and women who are just like out there looking for men just to, take them to Ruth Chris and so forth. This ain't the show for you. There are plenty of shows you can go on, dating shows, and meet people and tell them about your 666. That was not why I created this show. I really wanted to change the conversation around Black relationships, and I'm so happy that Twins has joined me in my mission to do so, because it is so very important for the future of us as a people that these conversations are being had. So I know it's a little bit late. I'm going to try to get through this because Twins gets us extremely early, everybody, and I'm taking his time. But I wanted, we talked a lot about the,
Good.
okay, we took it, okay. Let's talk about the safe space, because again, that is something we hear of men saying. So we talked about the piece, and thank you all men for coming in, and Shelby for joining us. But when you say, I want a woman to be my safe space, again, we filter it through our own mind and create a narrative. But what does that actually mean?
So just to add another layer to it, right? And it at the end of the day, we will never be fully safe with you,
Hmm?
regardless how respective you could be, whatever. Because it's just in your natural DNA, not just you, but most women, it's in your natural DNA. We can't be vulnerable with everything. Some stuff we have to take to the
Mm,
grave with us. There's
mm,
some things we just have to take to the grave, because I can tell you something that's very intimate, whatever, and you may never say it in front of anyone else, right? But you may say it to me, you know,
mm.
when you're upset. So I could never be there. We would like to be that vulnerable with you, with our woman, with our wives, with someone that's going to be our to that do us apart, right? We would love to have that, but as men, we know we can't be vulnerable with y'all. So I mean,
Why? Why? Let's because that's the part I think women need to understand. Why is it that you can commit to us, marry us, protect, provide for us, but there's still that part of you that says, as much as I love her, I cannot be vulnerable with her.
because you because once again, as I said before, as women, you do not have accountability. That is the number one thing. There is no accountability. There's nothing. Once again, I listen. It's just proven, Corey. As a man, I could come home. I could walk in my house, having you walk in my bedroom, and you getting ran through by two dudes right now. I could still go to court and still lose everything. I caught you cheating red-handed in my house, our house, and you can still walk away with everything, kids, my money, everything, and that's it. There's no accountability. Now, granted, we know the legal system's jacked up, right? But let's forget the legal system for a moment. Where's the accountability that you effed up? You know what I'm saying? Like, you effed up, but I'm still being penalized for that.
Let me pause you there for a second. So let's go back to the foundation in the beginning. So I'm going to disagree, because, in some extent, yes, I do think that the world doesn't hold women as accountable as men just on the basis that we're women. I definitely can say the legal system doesn't hold us accountable just on the virtue that we're women. But I have to disagree that overall women are not accountable. I think we're put in positions that we can lack accountability. However, let me ask you this: if we're going back to the foundation that we talked about, is it for men to be looking at women that they're interested in marrying and to find out if there are people in their life that hold them accountable. Because there's like, I can be as accountable as possible and say, yeah, you know what, I was wrong in this. But if I call my bestie and I'm telling her this story, and she's like, girl, no, that wasn't on you. Please, that was all him. I'm like, you know what, girl, you're so right. That wasn't me. What I was tripping over here thinking that it was me, but it was really him. Do you think it would help if in the beginning, to Shelby's point, before you even get into the marriage minded, just getting to this, I want her to be my woman, of taking a look at the people in her life to see, do those people hold her accountable, or do they just uphold the bullshit that she, does or says? Does
No.
that help? Would that help to change it?
Yeah, that would definitely help to change it. And this is why we're having this conversation now, because there's no roadmap. There is no beginner's guide on how to be married or before you can get married. There's no roadmap to that stuff. So stuff I'm telling you now, I didn't know when I was 28, getting married at a young age. But going through life experiences, I know now. That's why I'm able to share these things now, because when I was getting married at 28, none of my uncles or cousins or my older brother who already married, no one sat down with me and like, yo, bro, this is what you want to, this is what you're getting ready for. This is what you expect. This is what you're going to see. And I get it, because even now, because I'm in my 40s and I talk to young dudes at my job now, and they're like, oh, you just mad bitter. I'm like, nah, I'm trying to put you on the game. I'm trying to let you, I'm trying to tell you the things that they wasn't told to me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So right. So now that question you just asked, yes, that's something now that I'm doing, asking what's her accountability or people who hold her, like, yeah, now I'm doing that. But people who don't know this stuff, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You think you okay, I marry her, I'm committed to her, we're gonna work things out, through death to his part, divorce is not an option. Like man, we think, okay, we can work through XYZ, but that's what my thinking is, that's my logic. But if that's not how she feels about things, doesn't matter. I can say no, I won't be divorced. She's still gonna file. Like there's nothing I can do. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I say no, I want to get divorced, but she goes file for divorce, and her attorneys has all sorts of things. If I say I'm not doing nothing, if you don't do nothing, everything that they're asking for, they're going to get 100%. And what they're asking for is outrageous things. So guess what? By default, you have to fight, even though you don't want to fight. You have to fight. So yes, the answer to that. Hopefully, that answers your question there.
No, it does. And I'm going to pause you for 1 second, because I think Shelby has said something that just really hit me. And I feel like we need to discuss it. So Shelby says, also in agreement with twins, I can't ever fully be vulnerable with you because there will forever be a separation between the weight of importance in our responsibility in life. What say ye about that, twins?
Hold on, let me say that again.
So he says he's in agreement because I can't ever be fully vulnerable. You got it?
Yeah, I see it now. So when you say there will be forever be a separation between the weight of importance, what you mean by that? Like, are you saying like the roles that we have as far as man and woman? Is that what you're referring to?
That's what I'm getting from it, is the burdens that you carry as men.
But that's true.
We don't quite understand that, and I will agree with that. As I've always said, I would never want to be a man.
That's what you're saying, Shelby. Yes, that's absolutely right. There always will be. I've had this conversation with my lady that at the end of the day, we would never be equal.
We're not.
I'm a man. Yes, you can have kids. I help you make the kids. Like there's certain things we can't do, right? We still need each other. I still preach that. We still need each other, but we are different. We're still differently. It's like we go to jobs, we have a boss. So when it comes to marriage, unfortunately, I'm the head. If that's something that you don't like, that this is not going to work out, because we need to have guidance. You need to have direction. And these are the responsibilities that we have. So yes. So if we get it wrong, let us know, Shelby. But I think we're on the same page there.
I agree. Mr. Stang, when you see the strong person in your life who protects you and appears to be fearless, now they enter a situation where they're weak. You instantly feel vulnerable because you don't feel they can protect you. That's interesting. I'd love for you to elaborate on that. And then Ed says women are attracted to strength and they find any weakness in men repulsive. God, that's a strong word. In today's society, men have no safe space. You have to be stoic at all times. That just made me really sad.
Message.
I'm gonna keep that one up there. I have to say, is this men? Um, Put some hearts in here if you can heart this while you're watching. Is that how you guys are feeling? That you have to be stoic and we find vulnerability repulsive? Because that's quite a strong word. Twins, I'll ask you before the other men chime in. Is that how you feel?
It's not about a feel. I mean, yes, it's a feel, but also it's a fact.
Ooh,
you know, So yes, it's both. It's totally a fact and a feeling.
Mr. Mrs. Yes, not just what we feel, we know it. King's Cash Court says is right. We are labeled as biatches if we open up. Um,
That's it. That's another thing too. There's some things that we have to. Right there. There's things that we want to be vulnerable to you about, but we know if we do, it will come off as us being a soft person, whatever. And as a man, you don't want to ever lose that strength, that power that she looks at you, right? You never want to lose
mhm.
that type of energy. Once you lose that energy from her, she might be like, "Oh, it's okay, baby, no problem. I'm glad, I love you, blah, 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 whatever." But in the back of her head, she's still going to remember that, like, "Oh, he's weak." We know it.
That
That's a fact, and
uh,
that's why we just some stuff we just take to the grave.
that that makes me really sad, and it makes me think about an incident that I dealt with recently, and I felt that I was completely shut out from what my person was going through, and I internalized it. In some ways, I did internalize it, but it might have been for that reason. He, as much as he appreciates me and says he feels vulnerable and all that stuff, there's some things that you guys are just never going to share. But so that leads me to, can we ever be a safe space? Because we're hearing the messages. I want a woman who's my peace. I want a woman who's my safe space. But if you fundamentally think you can't be vulnerable with us, the peace thing seems like an easier thing to do. How do we ever make you feel the safety that I know that I need that from my man. If I don't feel safe with him, I cannot be with him. But what I'm hearing from you men is you don't have to feel safe with me to be with me, but that makes me sad. What do we do? What can we do?
Accountability. That's it. That's all. That's all I can say. That's the only thing that I can say from my point of view. If there is a way that you can be held accountable, then you may be able to unlock those vulnerable stuff. But until then, until yeah, that's the only way. Because different times that you get mad, you just say whatever out your mouth. It's like, wow, you said that to me. Wow.
Kingset Court has followed up with his comments. He says the court of public opinion has labeled vulnerability as in men sassy, bitchy, soft, female tendencies.
No lies there.
Mr. Says fathers, sons, brothers, all of us. We don't even tell you half of the sacrifices we've made for you. We just suffered in silence and took care of business. Oh no, we don't suffer in silence. Oh, we gonna tell you.
I'll tell you this, you know, and this had nothing about being sassy. This had nothing being part of the LGBT group, none of that stuff. The stuff that we can't say to you, we can tell our brothers, and they can, and they'll understand, and they will understand that. And I'm talking about a real brother.
I can respect that.
I'm not saying that any
I can
brothers
respect that.
our right hand are dogs. You know what I'm saying? We could tell them stuff, and they can understand, and they can relate right away.
I can respect. I can respect that. That's why safe spaces like barbershops and men having their times, whether it's on their video games or whatever it is that they're doing, those times are so important because they get to unburden themselves, if that's the right word, of everything, and then go back home and be that strength of a man that their woman needs. And to Ed's point, if women are responding in a repulsive way, I can understand why you guys are not vulnerable. Mr. says, how can you truly predict someone is not going to use your vulnerability against you? Question mark. Especially when every man has at least one experience when it was proven he cannot express his vulnerabilities.
Message. Message. It's
But
funny that as men all over the world, all different places. I've never met Mr. in person. Only person I met is Ed, except the Dark Child. I've met him, of course, my brother right there. But as men, we all, if you could put 100 men in one room, we all have that one same experience. And it doesn't matter if we're black, white, green, yellow, pink, whatever. We all got that experience. And one time in our life, the woman that we chose to be with at that time frame used something against us that we thought they would never would. And the crazy part about it is there's things that a woman said to us to happen to them. And doesn't matter how mad we get in an argument, I never throw it back in their face. I never use it against them. Never. And there's plenty of time I could have used it. Oh, you want to say that? Boy, I could hit you with the shot. Nope. As a man, I have accountability. I'm not going to say that because I know once I say that, it's going to be done. It's going to be over. There's no comeback from that. See, men know that. We know if we say something, there's no comeback from that. Women, they just stay where it come on their mouth, and there's no comeback for that. Like, they don't care. So what? What you gonna do about it? Like, then they want to get extra aggressive, like the tough, that they can beat my ass. Like, what are we talking about now? But anyway, I digress. Because I'm not out here time beating nobody's ass. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm just saying, like, I as men, if we're talking XYZ, somebody say something crazy, we won't have to handle this. We're going to go outside and get the fair one. Because you're not going to disrespect me like that and think it's cool. And me and my boys on Step That Child as part of the top team, we know that between men, there is always a high level of violence that can happen between two men. When you talk out of line with another man, there's always a threat of violence. That's why you never see men get to that far. Now we do see young little boys, young men who don't have the father figures. They want to pull guns out. So like we know that does happen. I'm not saying as 100%, but we know as grown men, there's certain things I can say to another man, something you can say to me that we're not gonna cross those. We ain't gonna say those words because we know if we say it, we want to go outside. We want to go in the freezer. We want to go somewhere, and we got to handle this because you're not gonna talk to me disrespectfully. But I land my plane.
So let me ask you then a question. I see the other comments, guys. I'm going to get to them. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to go back to the backpack metaphor that I used previously. So I have said here clearly that in every new relationship, I have to get rid of the backpack from the past relationship in order to start anew with the new person. Why is that not the way to go after you've had that moment with that woman? What cuts so deep for you that you can't leave that moment with that woman to allow a new woman to prove herself trustworthy of your vulnerability?
Oh, that's an easy one. I can start right away. So So let's say with one girl, I told her something that was deep, and she said threw back in my face. So the next person next lady I talked to, I would tell her something on a lighter level to see if she can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
And on a lighter level, if she can't handle that, then I'm not going to tell her the thing I told the first girl. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just keep going down the roads. So it's proven. It's proven. So I may not tell the second girl the first thing I told the first girl, but the second thing I told the second girl on a lower level, she'll still use it. And the third girl, it just, I don't know what it, I think it's something natural in women's DNA. And that's why I said, this is why I'll keep saying it. I probably said 3 times already. There's no accountability. Hey, this is when I knew we'd been on long enough. When your Bluetooth start dying.
My ears are put it in the charger case. But Shelby, I see you backstage again. Shelby is back up, and I do see the comments back and forth, guys. I'm going to get to as many of them as I can, but I'm going to bring Shelby back in. Twins, you feel good?
Yeah, I'm good. Go ahead. We're cooking.
Yo, I'm sorry. I apologize. No, the reason I'm saying I'm apologizing is because you two are cooking like on 6, on 7, on an electric stove. Yeah. This is in response to everything Twins is saying, and Miss Toshiba, you already know you're driving the conversation. Yet, Twins, you're on point. You're speaking for us, brothers, and I appreciate you. I just had to come in and say the difference between us men and us women, and I'm just adding to it, a little bit of garlic salt. I'm adding to it. The difference between us men and us women is that when Twin says no accountability on the women's side, what men are really saying is that we know women have had so many years, decades, centuries to just lay in the cut, watch what men are doing, and then pull up behind with the pom-poms, with the cheerleader outfit. And because you've had so many years of doing this, when you then step out front, and I'm going to use a hot button word, when you step out front with feminism to then begin to say, this is what I want, this is what I should have, this is the way I should move, and you should respect me, you should not step on me. We know as men, you're not gonna step out front when rough times come. We know you're not going to actually be the breadwinner. We know you're not gonna actually assume the responsibility that men have actually been performing for years, for decades, for centuries. We know that. We kind of shake our head in the background like, okay, girl, go ahead, do that. But we know when shit come to Shinola, and excuse my expression, but we know, right? But we know when it comes to what it comes to, you're gonna turn your head and look back at us and be like, oh, so you're not gonna do anything about this? We know that. And so when we're looking for wives, when we're looking for serious long-term partners, we're really truly just like, okay, how do we weed through these women? And I know you're talking, deeper concepts than that. But at the end of the day, what Twins is talking about when he says no accountability, that's what he's actually meaning. And I'm sure you can speak for yourself, brother. But I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate it. No, hey, listen. Once again, I keep saying this. I never met you as well, but we all saying the same thing, a little differently, but we all saying the same thing. We all come from different backgrounds, and you're older than me as well. I'm 43 though, but still, is the fact that we all saying the same thing, and we have very similar experiences when it comes to the opposite sex of the woman. It's just a fact. And this is not a pointing a finger thing or bashing thing. We're trying to teach anyone who want to have an open mind and listen to the show and understand why men the way we think. You know, we love to be better. We love to be vulnerable with our woman, our wife. We would love to, you know, for you to be our best friend. You know, we can't happen, but we would like for we would like for you to be our best friend. But we know that just can't happen. We know. And then also what he's saying as well, when the shit hit the fan, you're gonna look back at us. There's a video online, and we might have saw it, you might not saw it, but there's a theme park. And on the theme park is a little swing ride that goes around. And for some reason, the ride started rocking. And you hear people on the ride screaming, whatever, and all thing you see is a bunch of men running up and jumping on the bottom of the machine to weight it down so the machine don't fly in the air. I didn't see not one woman run over and jump on the machine to put her weight down to hold it down. I'm telling you, man, we run to danger. You know,
you were not wrong.
Not that
I wouldn't be running.
You know, like shit, gotta get done. Somebody gotta do it. It might have been dads around there because their kids are on the ride. Because I know my kids on the ride. I ran up there too. Well, it was my kid. If I saw the ride rocking and anybody run to jump on, I'm jump on it too to weigh it down until it slow down. And all right, everybody get the hell off this ride. Everybody's safe. But I'll land my plane.
You made a valid point. I won't lie. I would be looking at my significant other, be like, "Babe, we gonna handle that?" And it's different roles, and this is why these conversations are important. Because, ladies, I just want to make it clear: this idea that you want a man but you don't need a man, stop it. We need each other. There is a need, because again, that is whatever foundation you believe in, whether it's God, Jesus, Buddha, whomever. Men and women were created distinctly different for a reason. We're different sides of a coin, right? You need each other to be able to do stuff, to be able to maintain and manage as you go through life. So we need to stop that. And there's some comments. I see you looking at some of the comments, twins. I'm going to try to get back to them. Shelby, do you have any the points you want to make? You want to hold on here? Because we're still cooking. I probably got another 15 minutes I can get out of twins before he has to jump off.
No, the only thing I wanted to say is you made a perfect example. We are two sides of the same coin, because I personally do not want to negate the importance of women in the lives of men. We are different. Our roles are different. What women may be doing today, negating the importance of men, does not mean that the real men who are out here, who are ready to be partners, who are ready to be husbands, are negating the importance of the woman in our lives. We're not doing that. So that's all I want to say, and I'll leave.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelby. I'm going to go back because Mr. just made this point, and I'm going to go back to that because, twins, you just dropped something on me I never thought of. So I'm out here thinking, you know what, just you know what, if she hurts you, if she's, taking your vulnerability and throwing it in your face, don't worry about that woman. It's a new woman. But you said something that Mr. clearly agreed, and he said, man, see, twins just said what we were thinking. Once again, we tell you things in a lower level to test the waters and never fails. And so I think that's the interesting part, and it's nothing that I've ever thought about. I just think to myself, you love me, you trust me, we're building a foundation. Of course you can be vulnerable with me. But not knowing that you might have made an attempt to be vulnerable, and unknowingly I took that thing and said something about it that I may not have perceived as throwing it in your face, but you did. And I even sit here right now and think of an example in my current courting situation where he said something to me, and then I turned around and said something to him, and I think I'm just responding, but I could see how he could take it as me taking that moment where he opened up and throwing it in his face. That's some marketing A/B testing out here. Talk a little bit more about that.
It's a thing. It's real. That's how it is. But and unfortunately, some stuff we just suck it up. We move through it. You know what I'm saying? But accountability.
Ladies, and again, I thank you men for feeling so comfortable in this space on the internet that I have created to be as open, because this is actually vulnerability. And thank you for trusting me and feeling safe with me to be vulnerable, because being able to provide this information is actually a part of vulnerability, because it doesn't mean I'm going to respond well to it. Thank God I do, because I am marriage minded and want to learn. But I want to just thank each and every one of you for feeling this comfortable with me. So I'm just going to read a couple more comments and then our dating tips. I know we've been cooking and talking a lot, so now I've got to think about a dating tip out of everything I've heard tonight. So King's Cash Core says, no man truly wants to be single or alone. If partnership is the goal, men and women need to be on that accord 100.
No lies. Facts. Regardless of all these conversations that's happening on this great social media, at the end of the day, nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to be alone. I don't care how many millions of dollars you get. I don't care how independent you got, your cars, nails, all that stuff. You still want a man, and vice versa. No one wants to be alone. We were meant to be together. Amen. Our DNA is to be together. So yeah, I agree with that statement.
Amen. And Mr. He actually agrees. He said, not one exclamation mark. And Mr. and Jack Spade are pretty tough on this. So the fact that Mr. agrees, I love that. And final comment from King's Cash Court, it's a man's world, but it ain't nothing without a woman. Bars. I love that. So I'm going to wrap this up with one question for you twins, and for the men who are on, if you want to just chime in quickly before we get to our dating tips. Mr. Please get your dating tip ready, because I know you have one every week. So if you could give women from this entire conversation that we've had one piece of advice, just one single piece of advice of how to be a man's peace and to be his safe space, what would that be?
Know how to apologize and really mean it. That right there.
And I'm just follow-up question. How as a man do you know that we really mean it?
Oh, we can tell by the tone, the roll of the eyes, the sarcasm when you say it. We know when it's genuine. But also too, after having a heated argument, come back later on when we're both level-headed and you start off saying, "No, babe, I'm apologize. I didn't mean to say what I said, X, Y, Z." That's when you know. That's when you know it is real. I know I said some things earlier and I didn't mean to say it. I apologize, X, Y, Z, because I know I've done it plenty of times. Come back around and apologize, for what I said. I didn't mean to say it. But to have a woman to do that, that hasn't happened.
King's Cash Court makes a good point, and thank you, Ed. He said this is a great show tonight. King's Cash Court said women shouldn't use whataboutisms when apologizing.
Facts. See, we trying to go to sleep here, and here you go. There you go. There you go, King. We're about to lay it down. You had to open that Pandora's box up, right? Yes.
Can you guys give us an example as women of these whataboutisms that we use? And Mr. I see you backstage. I'm gonna bring you in as twins answers this question.
No, it's another way of saying it is that but you do it too.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? It's, if I bring something up about, hey babe, this is bothering me about XYZ. Well, you do it too. Okay. So why didn't you bring it up then? Like, don't bring something up when I'm trying to be open up and bring it up to you when I'm not arguing with you. And now it's all about how you feel now, and nothing's getting accomplished now, because when I bring it up, you're saying, but what about this? Well, you do it over here. Or what? I'm like, okay, you know what? Forget about it. So hopefully that helps out.
Well, that's great, because that's not an apology. Like, I don't know what woman would ever, ladies, that is not an apology. An apology is actually reflecting on what has happened, what he said, what you may have done, generally taking an introspection and being able to say to your man, I've had a moment to reflect and I want to have a conversation about this, but first let me just say I apologize for how I reacted, or whatever it is that happened in that conversation, and taking Twins' word, accountability for what happened in the situation and how you reacted to it. That's, to me, an apology. It's not about how the other person acted, it's how you did, because we're accountable for our own actions. I don't get to determine how you react or act towards a certain situation. The only person I can control is myself. So ladies, listen to what the men are saying. If you're going to apologize, it does start with self-accountability. Mr. Welcome to the stage. How are you tonight?
I'm all right. I'm just here to test my microphone.
Welcome, man.
I thought you were here because you wanted to give your dating tips live tonight. Is that what we're doing?
Mm-hmm.
No dating tips tonight.
What?
But I wanted to co-sign what Twins said, and what Shelby said, and King's Cash Court said, and myself. I wanted to co-sign all of that. This is a chat where this should be pinned somewhere or something. Listen to this whole thing from beginning to end. That's your dating tip. That's your marriage tip. That's everything. This whole conversation, this episode.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. That's the message.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to say this again. You guys have no idea how happy and how honored I feel that this has become a safe space for men to have this conversation without judgment, without refute, without rebuttal, without any of that. We don't always agree on things, but you're always going to have a space to be able to speak your mind, and for me to listen. And I do hope, and I do encourage all of you, please send women this way. I'm not sure why they don't love this channel. Maybe you guys know, but please do send women our way, because I think this conversation, we truly are changing the conversation around Black relationships, where I think we can heal some of the issues that are going on in the community. And I know that might be a bold statement to make, and of course I'm going to make it because it's my show, but I truly did create this platform to heal, not to create more division among us. So Mr. Mister, I know you don't have a dating tip, but Twins and I will need to come up with our dating tips for tonight. But gentlemen, actually, Mr. Mister, I'm going to ask you the question that I asked Twins, since you're here. If you could give women one piece of advice of how to be a man's peace and safe space, what would that be?
Self-reflection. Before you nag your man about something or complain about something, look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this really worth fighting about?
Mm.
Is it really worth it? Do I really need to say everything that I'm thinking all the time?
Message. I agree with that one. I totally agree with that. I'm like, do we really have to argue? Like, do we have to do this? Like, really? Like, do we really have to do this? Because it's draining. So I love that one.
It's funny. I'm actually going to add to that and say this was a funny conversation I used to have on the show with my previous co-host, who was my ex-fiance. But I used to make a joke that like I filter things and I'll cuss him in my head, and then I'll say the things that I know he'll receive because I actually wanted the relationship tomorrow. Right? So I think that is a great point. Too many of us women don't filter what we're saying. And if I'm honest, it's because there are women in relationships that don't value the relationships they're in because they don't respect or value the men that they're with. And I'm going to say any man who's with a woman who cannot filter her thoughts and speak to you, even in her moments of anger, with respect, she just doesn't respect you. There's no question. There's nothing to mend, because I have been heated and angry and all of these things. And I generally have a cultural difference between me and my men. And I know, listen, if I want this relationship after this, I need to be able to approach the situation with the utmost respect, even through my anger. And a woman who can pop off and curse you out and whatever, and not filter her words through a lens of respect, simply doesn't respect you, gentlemen. And that relationship, throw that backpack away. It's done. It's over. Don't even try to mend it. To me, it's as a woman, I couldn't be in a relationship where a man disrespected me. I told you guys I was dating someone and I had to tell him 3 times my daddy doesn't talk to me like that. And that was the end. We never spoke again. We never spoke again because you were not talking to me out of a lens of respect. You showed your whole ass. There was nothing else for us to talk about because my daddy don't talk to me like that. And the moment you have that mind, like, hold on, did she really? Did she? Cut it off. Tell her, get her stuff. You move whatever needs to be done, because you can't take that. Once you have allowed, I'm going to tell you something about women. Once you've allowed us to cross that line, we're not going back.
Not coming back.
Mm-mm. Oh yeah. Oh, I can say that and I'm still good. And you're still going to protect and you're still going to provide. And I still have a roof over my head and I still have food in my mouth and I can still get my nails done by my man. And you're still taking me to dinner and I'm having floor seats at Mary J. Blige. And I just cussed you out and told you all this. Oh, okay. We're good. You'll never get that moment back. So it is incumbent on you men, who I will always say are the leaders of these relationships and these long-term commitments, because I ain't asking not a man to marry me, right? You choose us as wives. And therefore, I'm always going to say this is where the accountability for men come in. When you have said to a woman, I accept your bad behavior, and you put a ring on her finger, that is on you. You saw the signs and you ignored them. And she will only get worse.
Message.
And with all that said, going back to my previous comment, in that case, I'm just going to have to love you from a distance.
That is the best thing to do, because I have had to love a couple of people from a distance myself. Twins.
No comment. We do got a dating tip in the chat, though.
Yes, I do. I see Ed. Thank you, Ed, for joining. I do see Ed's dating tip. Mr. Since you don't have a dating tip for us tonight, I'm just going to remove it from the stage. Thank you, as usual, for coming in. I'm going to read Ed's dating tip so I can figure out what mine is going to be. So Ed's dating tip is, you don't have to have the last word and don't escalate the issue. Know when to stop.
That's a good one.
That's called emotional regulation, ladies and gentlemen, and we should both have it. Ladies, I know we're supposed to be the emotional one, but I'm going to go back to something I said like 2 minutes ago. If you filter your words through a lens of respect, You can never go wrong in a relationship. And if you don't respect that man, leave him alone. My dating tip for the night, as I mull something over in my head. This is going to be to ladies. Make sure that you are emotionally prepared for the relationship you desire. I'm going to repeat. Make sure that you are emotionally prepared for the relationship that you desire. You know, I see so many situations where women, we get our bodies together. Now we go out, we get our nails done, we get our hair done. We've all heard about the revenge body. Women leave relationships and they hit the gym hard because my ex is going to see. And then you're out there and you're back dating and your hair looks great and your nails look great and your body looks great, but your insides are torn up. So when you're sitting and you're trying to manifest that new relationship, make sure that you are emotionally prepared for the man you desire. Because if you are not emotionally prepared for the man you desire, he's just going to become another fuckboy on your list of men who broke your heart. And that is my dating tip. Twins, and then I will read King's Cash Court's dating tip.
All right, cool. Dating tip, fellas. Do not marry or do not propose to or put a ring on a woman's finger that will not respect you. Do not put a ring, get engaged, or marry a woman if she does not respect you. The ring does not make no one change. I said it earlier, I'm saying it again. The ring does not give you superpowers. Like, you know what? She'll be a better woman and get put a ring on her finger. No, it doesn't. It makes her worse. So that same person that you with right now becomes the worst person after they get the ring. Just keep that in mind. That's my tip.
You never lied. King's Cash Court, a dating tip. Conceding and agreeing with your partner isn't defeat when you love someone. Sustaining the relationship with healthy communication is the ultimate win.
That is a win. That is a mature, great answer. Yes.
Message. And Mr. actually wrote message to the dating tips. And I'm gonna leave the show with this one. Mr. says, take this whole conversation and the comments, listen, read, take notes, because all of this was because this was all facts. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys once again. I would be nothing without those of you who show up every week and be part of this conversation. I would be nothing on this journey without Twins sharing his insight and his experience. And I am gonna keep rocking out as far as we can take this show. I am willing to take this show. I am going to say, if any of you ever want to take this live and would consider bringing me and Twins out to a city near you, please let us know. We will be looking at, I'm going to try to bring the show on the road. I need to come up with a plan, but if someone wants to take this show live, I am happy to have this conversation. I don't care if it's in your church group, whatever it is. I think we want to spread the message beyond where we are at. So again, if you want to take us on a little tour, hit me up, fyftheshow at gmail.com, and let's start having the discussion about taking this conversation live and on the road. So I want to thank you, each and every one, for participating. I want to especially thank you, Twins. I know it's past your bedtime. We ran almost 2 hours on this show. And it is a testament. Cooking like they said.
Yes.
On the stove on 6. Thanks, Shelby, for that. We're on the stove. We're burning on 6. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. Good night. Look out for the clips. Share, subscribe. And my new book, Love Rules Part 1, this Tuesday, April 1st. Look out for it and support your girl. Buy it and give it to your women to read because it's saucy. Have a good night, everybody. Bye. Good night.